Hello and welcome to Sansad TV. It's 9 p.m. and you watching the news. I'm Bhawna Nayar. We have a lot more lined up this Monday evening. Let's start with our top 5 headlines. Congress observers Rajiv, Mallikarjun Kharge brief Sonia Gandhi. Charge Gehlot loyalist MLAs in Rajasthan with indiscipline for boycotting legislative party meeting. Gulam Nabi Azad launches new party, Democratic Azad Party, says ensuring peace in Jammu and Kashmir will be its top priority. Centre cracks down on 10 YouTube channels for spreading fake news aimed at spreading hatred among religious communities. Blocks 45 videos. Prime Minister Modi leaves for Tokyo to attend state funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And Navratra celebrated across the country. Devotees throng temples. President Murmu inaugurates the Dashara festival in Mysore. Vice President, Prime Minister and Speaker of Lok Sabha greet people on the occasion. And after the top headlines, a quick look now at some speed news now. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar takes a dig at mainstream American media for biased India coverage. Prime Minister Modi greets former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh on his birthday, wishes him a long and healthy life. Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry launches Swachh Toykathon to make toys from waste. INS Sunanya enters Port Victoria, Seychelles to join annual training exercise Operation Southern Readiness of Combined Maritime Forces. Indian Railways plans to abolish meter gauge lines in stages. National Testing Agency NTA releases CUET PG result 2022. Results can be checked on official website. Exports to UAE rise from $5.17 billion from June to August last year to $5.92 billion during June to August. Army helicopter crashes in southwest Pakistan's Baluchistan province. All 6 people on board, including 2 officers, killed. British stocks and bonds fall sharply, pound sinks to lows against the US dollar, not seen since 1985. And 5 rescue workers in the Philippines have been killed as Typhoon Noru left homes flooded and millions without electricity. And now the lead story of the day. Political crisis escalating in Rajasthan. The Congress is making all-out efforts to resolve its party crisis in Rajasthan. Party observers Mallikarjun Kharge and Rajiv have submitted a report to Party President Sonia Gandhi after a visit to Jaipur. The crisis erupted after Kharge and Maken have called a meeting of the party legislature party in Jaipur. Many MLAs loyal to Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot did not turn up for the meeting at Gehlot's residence on Sunday night. Instead, they held a separate meeting at Parliamentary Affairs Minister Shanti Dhariwal's residence. They also met Assembly Speaker Dr. C.P. Joshi. The rebel faction was upset over speculation of Sachin Pilot being made the next Chief Minister in the state. Maken said it was indiscipline to boycott official party meetings and hold parallel meetings. He said a group of MLAs insisted on passing a conditional resolution that was not accepted. Moving on, Gulam Nabi Azad launched his new party, the Democratic Azad Party, today. He said his party symbolizes democracy and freedom of speech and thought. Azad said that the party's ideology will be based on the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. He asserted that the DAP will have no competition with any other political party and it will focus on strengthening peace and normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Gulam Nabi Azad had ended his more than 5-decade-long association with the Congress on 26th August.
नहीं किसी पार्टी की सोच हमको प्रभावित कर सकती है। हमारी अपनी सोच, अपना दृष्टिकोण अलग, अपनी विचारधारा, वही विचारधारा जो गांधी जी की विचारधारा उन्होंने हमें दी.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the central government is working on strengthening the health infrastructure. Home Minister laid the foundation stone of 350-bedded ESIC hospital at Sanand. He said that hospital will benefit 12 lakh employees and their families along with the villagers. Amit Shah said that in 2013-14, there were only 387 medical colleges in the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi helped increase their numbers to 596 in 2021-22. He also reiterated Prime Minister's holistic approach towards health infrastructure. Let's listen in.
2013-14 में देश में 387 मेडिकल कॉलेज थे और 21-22 में 387 से बढ़कर 596 मेडिकल कॉलेज पहुंचाने का काम हमारे नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया. एमबीबीएस की सीटें 51,000 थी, इसको बढ़ाकर 89,000 लगभग 90,000 करने का काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की मोदी सरकार ने किया.
Government has ordered blocking of 45 videos from 10 YouTube channels for broadcasting fake news and content with the intent to spread hatred among religious communities. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said that the blocked videos had a cumulative viewership of over 1.30 crore. The videos claimed that the government had taken away the religious rights of certain communities. Thakur said these channels had content that spread fear and misconception among communities. The order to block the videos was issued on 23rd September under the provisions of the Information Technology Rules 2021. Earlier, the government had blocked 102 YouTube channels and Facebook accounts that sought to create communal disharmony.
सूचना प्रसारण मंत्रालय ने 10 YouTube चैनल्स पर प्रतिबंध भी लगाया है, उनको सस्पेंड भी करवाया है, क्योंकि लगातार देश के खिलाफ षड्यंत्र रच रहे थे, देश को तोड़ने का प्रयास किया जा रहा था, भय और भ्रम फैलाने का प्रयास किया जा रहा था और जो मित्र देश हैं उनके साथ भी संबंध खराब हों, इस तरह का दुष्प्रचार किया जा रहा था.
In Delhi, the water level in the river Yamuna breached the warning mark of 204.5 meters today, following heavy rain in the upper catchment areas. The water level is expected to rise further in the next 2 days. The Delhi Flood Control Room said the water level at the Old Delhi Railway Bridge crossed the warning mark at 1 a.m. on Monday. The control room reported release of 295,212 cusecs of water this morning from Hathni Kund barrage in Haryana. This is the highest so far this monsoon season. People living in the low-lying areas near the river banks have been cautioned about a further increase in the water level. The Commerce Ministry on Monday extended the existing foreign trade policy by 6 months till March 2023 due to concerns over currency volatility and global uncertainty. The ministry said the geopolitical situation is not suitable for long-term foreign trade policy. Various sectors such as industry associations and export promotion councils were not in favor of implementing the new foreign trade policy in the current situation. Foreign trade policy provides a framework for increasing exports of goods and services and increasing value addition. Earlier, the government had extended the due date for the Foreign Trade Policy 2015-20 to 30th September 2022. Rate increases by central banks of several countries triggered a fall in global markets amid fears of a slowdown. The BSE Sensex fell for the fourth trading session in a row and closed at 57,145.22, down 953.7 points or 1.64%. The Nifty of the National Stock Exchange also closed at 17,016.30, down 311.05 points or 1.8%. The rupee's fall to a record low against the US currency also weighed on investor sentiment. In other markets in Asia, South Korea's Kospi, Japan's Nikkei, China's Shanghai Composite and Hong Kong's Hang Seng closed lower. European stock markets were in a downtrend in early trading. The US market also declined. Meanwhile, international oil benchmark Brent crude fell by 0.75% to $85.50 a barrel. The famous 10-day Dashara celebrations commenced in Mysore with traditional fervour, with President Draupadi Murmu inaugurating the festivities. The President opened the festivities during the auspicious Rishik Lagan by showering flower petals on the idol of goddess Chamundeshwari at a Chamundeshwari temple atop of Chamundi Hills. Beginning her speech in Kannada, the President extended her greetings to the people on the festive occasion. Murmu is the first president to take part in Mysore Dashara in the recent past. Celebrated as Nada Habba, the Dashara festivities are expected to be a grand affair this year after being devoid of fanfare for the last 2 years due to COVID-19 pandemic. And the 9-day-long Navratra festivities have begun today with religious fervour. Temples are decked up across the country. Devotees have been thronging the temple in large numbers since early morning to offer prayers to the goddess on the first day of the festival. Take a look at the visuals of celebrations from across the country. And now let's take a look at some other stories that are making news from across the nation. On a 3-day visit to Karnataka, President Draupadi Murmu was today felicitated by Hubli-Dharwad Municipal Corporation. On receiving the honour, the President termed it as an honour of all the countrymen. She added that Hubli-Dharwad people have today felicitated a woman coming from an ordinary Odia family and said that it is an honour to all the women in the country. President Murmu attended the inauguration ceremony of the new campus of IIIT in Hubli. Speaking about educational, cultural, historical, spiritual and religious significance of Hubli and Dharwad cities in North Karnataka, the President noted that these twin cities stand for linguistic harmony between Kannada and Marathi. It is a merging point of modern with the ancient. The Supreme Court on Monday said it will have its own platform to live stream its proceedings, and the use of YouTube for the purpose is temporary. A bench headed by Chief Justice Uday Umesh Lalit said this when former BJP leader K.N. Govindacharya's counsel argued that the copyright of the Apex Court proceedings cannot be surrendered to private platforms like YouTube. 7 tourists, including 3 IIT Varanasi students, were killed and 10 sustained injuries as a tempo traveller fell into a gorge in Himachal Pradesh Kullu district on Sunday evening. The accident occurred in Ghiagi in Banjar subdivision. Most of the injured were admitted to regional hospital in Kullu town, some 200 kilometers from the state capital. Slipping into a very short break here. On the other side, sterling stumps to a record low in Britain. Euro hits fresh 2-decade low against dollar. All this and much more coming up just after this short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news. Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news, and time now for all the big developments happening in Russia-Ukraine war front. Japan has announced a ban on export of materials that may be used for chemical weapons to 21 Russian organizations, including science laboratories. The measure was approved by the Japan cabinet following a decision by G7 foreign ministers last week. Japan government has also expressed grave concern regarding Russian threats to use nuclear weapons. Japan's chief cabinet secretary Hirakuzu Matsuno said that the threat or use of nuclear weapons by Russia should never happen. An overnight drone strike near the Ukrainian port of Odessa sparked a massive fire and explosion, the Ukrainian military said on Monday. The airstrike was the latest in a series of drone attacks on the key southern city in recent days. The strike hit a military installation and detonated ammunition when it struck. Concerns are growing that Russia may seek to escalate the conflict once it completes its referendums in part of Ukraine under its control. Ukraine's Air Force Command said its anti-aircraft missile destroyed the Shahed 136 kamikaze drone, which is the Russian forces tried to use to attack Mykolaiv. Shahed 136 drones supplied to Russia by Iran were already in use for several strikes in Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Odessa and Mykolaiv regions, according to officials. Earlier on Friday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned Iran for supplying drones to Russia. He also said that the Iranian ambassador to Ukraine was deprived of accreditation following the strikes. The Russian mobilization is sparking protests across the country. In Dagestan, one of Russia's poorer regions in the North Caucasus, over 100 people blocked the highway. Russian media reported that local police tried to break up the demonstration by firing warning shots in the air. Hundreds of protesters, mostly women, chanted "No to War" at a protest rally in Dagestan's capital, Mekhachokla. Some of them argued with police saying it was Russia that attacked Ukraine. Amid protest against Moscow's call to arms, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky again called on Russians to not submit to criminal mobilization. He said that the more Russian citizens try to protect their own lives, the sooner this criminal war of Russia against Ukraine will end. He said the Russian army was using mobilization to conduct a genocidal policy, as army calls are mostly addressed to the native Crimean Tatars. And now news from some other parts of the globe. Italian voters rewarded Giorgia Meloni's Eurosceptic party with huge gains, taking the country towards what is likely to be its first far-right-led government since World War II. Partial results on Monday showed that the rightist bloc getting a solid majority in both houses of parliament. Take a look.
Giorgia Meloni looks set to become Italy's first woman prime minister at the head of its most right-wing government since the Second World War, after leading a conservative alliance to triumph at Sunday's election. Near-final results showed the rightist bloc should have a solid majority in both houses of parliament, potentially giving Italy a rare chance of political stability after years of upheaval and fragile coalitions. Giorgia Meloni and her far-right party, Brothers of Italy, had made Christian identity, motherhood and patriotism prominent in their political manifesto. Just 5 years ago, Meloni's Brothers of Italy, whose name is inspired by the opening words of the national anthem, was viewed as a fringe force, winning just 4.4% of the votes in 2018, balloting for parliament. In this election, Meloni allied her party with the right-wing League of Matteo Salvini, who, like her, favours crackdowns on illegal migration. Her other electoral ally is the centre-right Forza Italia party of former Premier Silvio Berlusconi, who's been losing popularity. Last year, hers was the only major party to refuse to join the pandemic National Unity Coalition of Premier Mario Draghi. The former European Central Bank chief's government collapsed last month, abruptly abandoned by Salvini, Berlusconi and five-star leader, former Premier Giuseppe Conte. As a champion of sovereignty, Meloni's party backed Draghi's support for arms to Ukraine and says she's a staunch backer of the NATO alliance. But Meloni views European Union rules as often infringing on Italy's sovereignty. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has left for Tokyo to attend the state funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's state funeral in Tokyo on Tuesday. Modi is expected to meet separately with his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida during the visit that is likely to last less than a day. He will also be among the world leaders expected to call Abe's widow separately. More details in this report.
Preparations were underway on Monday in central Tokyo for former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's state funeral. On Monday, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida met with many foreign dignitaries, including American Vice President Kamala Harris, in what he's called funeral diplomacy. 6,000 guests and 190 foreign delegations are expected to attend the funeral in Tokyo. In central Tokyo, police officers were on patrol as construction workers assembled stages outside the venue where the rare state funeral will be held on Tuesday. Several hundred protesters demanded the cancellation of Abe's state funeral, as they shouted slogans and waved banners on Friday in a Tokyo park. Abe's assassination in July touched off a series of revelations about ties between lawmakers in the ruling Liberal Democratic Party he once led and the Unification Church, an organization critics call a cult. A private funeral for Abe was held on 12th July, 4 days after his killing. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
The fallout from last week's fiscal statement in Britain continued to roll markets for a second session. The sterling slumped to a record low on Monday, even as a renewed sell-off in Britain. British gilts pushed Eurozone's yields higher. Take a look.
Sterling crashed to a record low on Monday amid mounting concern that the new government's economic plan will stretch Britain's finances to the limit. The British pound's searing drop helped the safe haven US dollar to a new two-decade peak against a basket of major peers, while the euro hit a fresh two-decade low against the greenback. In Japan, authorities reiterated that they stood ready to respond to speculative currency moves after they intervened last week to bolster the yen for the first time since 1998. But it was sterling's steep fall that grabbed traders' attention. It slumped as much as 4.9% to an all-time other before stabilizing around $1.0699 in early London trade, still down 1.5% on the day. That followed a 3.6% drop on Friday when new Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng unveiled historic tax cuts funded by the biggest increase in borrowing since 1972. Kwarteng on Sunday dismissed the free fall in the pound, saying that his strategy was to focus more on longer-term growth and not short-term market reaction. Sterling also tumbled 1.3% against the euro. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
More international news now in Global Wrap segment. A gunman on Monday morning killed 13 people and wounded 20 others in a school in central Russia. In a video statement, the Udmurtia regional governor said that the still unidentified shooter got into a school and killed a guard and some of the children. The school educated children between grades 1 and 11. The gunman shot himself. No details about the gunman or his motives have been released. Australia is considering tougher cybersecurity rules for telecommunication companies after Optus, the nation's second largest wireless carrier, reported that personal data of nearly 10 million customers was breached. Optus announced the breach of details of 9.8 million people a day after becoming aware of what the company described as a cyber attack. 2.8 million of the current and former Optus customers reported the significant amounts of personal data was stolen. Typhoon Noru blew out of the northern Philippines on Monday, leaving 5 rescuers dead, causing floods and power outages and forcing officials to suspend classes and government work. The most powerful typhoon to hit the country this year slammed into the coast of Bugio's town in Quezon province before nightfall on Sunday. It weakened as it crossed to the main Luzon region, where thousands of people were moved to emergency shelters. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol on Monday accused the country's media of damaging its alliance with the United States after a TV broadcaster released a video suggesting that he insulted US Congress members following a meeting with US President Joe Biden in New York last week. NBC caught Yoon on tape talking to his aides and top diplomats following a brief chat with Biden on the margins of the UN General Assembly meetings. Hundreds of activists gathered in Nairobi on Saturday to urge wealthy countries to live up to their commitments on tackling climate change on the African continents. The demonstrators called for a promised financial aid that would enable Africa to combat the devastating effects of a changing climate on the continent. And now let's see what's happening in the world of sports. Virat Kohli's scintillating stroke play and Surya Kumar Yadav's batting pyrotechnics fashioned India's series-clinching 6-wicket win over Australia in the third and final T20 International at Hyderabad. India chased down the target of 187 with a ball to spare. Akshar Patel won the Player of the Series award after he finished as the leading wicket taker in the India-Australia series. Akshar picked up 8 wickets at an economy of 6.30 and conceding only 63 runs in 10 overs. India went 7 points clear of England at the top of the ICC T20 ranking following their narrow series win over Australia in Hyderabad. Croatia beat Austria 3-1 to reach Nations League finals. Virgil van Dijk winner sees Netherlands join them with 1-0 victory versus Belgium. France avoid relegation despite 2-0 loss to Denmark. Francis Tiafoe led Team World to their first Lever Cup title as the Americans saved 4 match points in the dramatic victory over Stefano Tsitsipas that denied Roger Federer a farewell trophy on Sunday. And on that note, that's a wrap of this bulletin. The news. Stay tuned to Sansad TV for all the latest updates round the clock. Do share your feedback on our programs through our social media platforms. Till then, goodbye. Namaskar.